Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nerdcast. It is Devin broadcasting as always live from an undisclosed location in the center of Texas on the last stream of the year 2021. How are you guys doing? How's everybody doing out there? And I just want to say hey to Rhea. I saw she dropped a message in here shortly before my stream went live, so thanks. Hey, I hope you're having a good evening too. Yeah, it is it's gonna be my last stream of the year 2021, so that's kind of neat. This year went by incredibly fast. And I keep getting confused still about what year it actually is. I think whenever I talked to Justin a few days ago, I kept accidentally saying that we're going into 2021. I think that was the mistake I kept making. I mean, this year went by really fast and also really slow at the same time. Like, it seems like it was a long year that just went by in a snap. Because, I've been seeing all these memes that's reminder. It was the Bernie Sanders at the inauguration where he's got his mittens and shit. And it's reminder, this was only 11 months ago. I was like, damn, was that really 11 months ago? That feels like that was, a lifetime ago at this point. But, I guess, a lot of stuff has happened in the interim. And, I'll tell you this much. I was really considering, and I started to put together, I wanted to put together, a year in review clip show from all of my past streams and just try to make, a big mega clip video to put up there. Whew, that was a daunting task. I got some, but nowhere near what I was anticipating. So if I end up doing that, it's going to be way after the new year. Just so much happened. There was a lot that happened, and I was trying to figure out how to organize all of it. There was a lot of the political stuff that I was doing. I had organized in one folder, and the video game related stuff I had another folder, and then I had my gameplay stuff, and then just the reacts I was doing to videos. There was a lot. There was a lot, and I don't have an editor, so it's just me doing all this shit. So yeah, that quickly hit the back burner. I could have probably eked out some time to do it during my YouTube ban. So yeah, I got a strike from YouTube. I still don't quite know exactly what caused it, but I think it happened when I was doing my Ramen Girl stream. And that video is finally uploaded now. I had it all edited and ready. And because of the strike, I couldn't upload anything to YouTube, but I was able to upload that the other night. So go and check that out, please. That was a fun one. I actually really enjoyed talking to Lauren about that movie. And I got to start doing those again. This channel, this whole project of mine started from doing bad movie reviews with my friends. So if you go back and look at some of the first videos, not the steamrolled, not the game reviews, but we did a podcast over, I think the very first one we actually did, the very first thing we actually recorded was From Paris with Love. It was a John, why can't I remember his name? Wow, his name just completely flew out of my head. John Travolta. It was John Travolta and Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, an action movie that came out in 2008 or something. It was really ridiculous. But yeah, it was me, Justin, and I think Gabe Sandoval and Lauren. And we got together and we talked about that one, and that was a lot of fun. So we did a few more after that. That's how this whole thing started. And I honestly have the most fun doing those types of things. So maybe I'll start trying to put together some more group chats over movies and whatnot. I've been talking with Rivia actually about doing some collaborations with her, and hopefully we can get together and get some stuff done. I've also got I'm gonna put this out here. I'm planting the seeds right now. This is what I want to do. And I've talked to Justin about this, and he seems like he's iffy on if he wants to do it or not, based on the fact that he doesn't get to play the game as often as I do. He doesn't have a gaming PC at home. But what I want to do is I want to do a Hellish Court tournament of sorts. It's actually a challenge. I call it the Hellish Chip Challenge. And the whole idea behind it is Well, you know what? I'm just going to keep that under wraps. But it's going to require me and Justin fighting each other in Hellish Court. And he just doesn't get to play the game that much. So I think next time he comes on to do the stream, whatever we end up talking about, I think we're just going to talk about it while he plays Hellish Court so he can get better at it. Then that way he'll be probably a little bit more amiable to accepting the challenge. So there's some stuff that I want to actually start rolling out. I got to start juicing up the content a little bit more. And I really got to start trying to do outreach and build up the community. It's the thing that I hate doing the most, outreach and like promoting myself. I'm not the person for that, so that's going to be a big challenge in the future. But that is a challenge I do want to accomplish. I do want to conquer. So I guess on the last day of 2021, I guess I've been doing a little bit of reflecting on what I've started, I think back in August with this channel and where I want it to go. I do want to do some IRL streams and all of that, but my order of the day number one is to build up the community a bit more, and doing that is going to involve me kind of branching my content out a bit more in addition to the outreach stuff. So that's kind of what I'm percolating on right now. So that'll be interesting. That'll be exciting. Doing more outreach for certain, doing more collabs, and just trying to build this thing up. So, here's to 2021, I suppose. Here's to 2022, I meant. I guess we could cheers to 20. See, I got it mixed up again. Here's to 2022. Here is to 2021 going on the way out, and for 2022 coming on the way in. So, pink. I was thinking about The Witcher Season 2. Those videos are edited, they're uploaded. I think they're going to be premiering tomorrow. There's 3 videos. We talked about it for so fucking long. I think each one of those videos is like well over an hour. But it's like we do, like the old Witcher videos for Season 1 that we did. I think we did 4 videos that were, I think they were just shy of an hour each. So this might be the same length as those, or it might be a little bit longer, but yeah. So I was just thinking about how, Justin was very harsh on the show. And I was wondering, was I not harsh enough? Like, was I too accepting of things that maybe in other different types of media I wouldn't be as accepting of? Or what is it that I'm getting out of The Witcher that Justin isn't? What isn't that he's getting out of it that maybe I'm not getting? Or it kind of made me wonder, like, so what is the expectation for this show? It seems like people's expectations are all over the map, And a part of that is, I guess a part of it is just by the nature of the marketing and what they're putting out when they put out this show. Another part of it is just based off of all of the other things that exist around it as a fantasy-based premiere show, like, obviously Game of Thrones being the cream of the crop still, no matter what people say about how mad they are about the ending. Game of Thrones is still sitting at the top. And they've got a new show coming out soon, too. Day of the Dragon, I don't know what it's called, something Dragon. I wonder, I haven't heard really anything about it. I feel like the attitude around that show is that nobody cares, which is wild. Let me look that up. House of the Dragon, that's what it's called. House of the Dragon. It seems like no one really cares about this show. I guess George R. R. Martin has some early reviews out for House of the Dragon. He enjoys it. Yeah, I don't know. So you've got Game of Thrones that set the high watermark there, but then you have all of these other things that have come out around it, And right now, Witcher was probably the most prominent that came out around a little afterwards, but you do have some competition with Amazon's Wheel of Time, and I actually like Wheel of Time a lot more than I thought I would, considering that the book kind of annoyed me. But it just seems like the expectation is to go after Game of Thrones, and that's just not what The Witcher. That's not what its strengths are. That's not what it's supposed. That's not what its core, value proposition is. Its core value proposition, its brand proposition is similar to that of The Mandalorian. Like you watch a dude who's a badass, solve some problems and be a badass, and it's not so much about all the geopolitical stuff and the side story about the elves and oppression, and the side story about Ciri and Elder Blood, and the side story about Yennefer and Artusa and everything that's going on, Artusa and Dijkstra and all this other stuff. And it's like, what really makes this character cool, it's the interpersonal relationships that he has with like Dandelion and Yennefer and Ciri and all of that, but also just like how he exists in the world. Like, I don't really care so much about the world of The Witcher so much as I care about how he exists in the world and how the characters exist in the world. And that doesn't ever really seem to be a point of the show. Like, the show seems like it's trying to impress you with the breadth of the world and all of the shit around it, and I think in that regard, I went back and I reread my favorite short story from the Sword of Destiny book, which is A Little Sacrifice, which is fucking fantastic. And the fact that they have 2 seasons of this show and still haven't found a way to adapt that story is criminal. Like, that story has everything that you want out of a Witcher story, and it reminds me how much I love the character interaction between Geralt and Jaskier Dandelion, and it reminded me that the show doesn't really necessarily get that right. There's a lot about Geralt and Jaskier's relationship, where Jaskier is almost like a big brother to Geralt, in social situations at least, because Geralt is not a good socializer. He's not a good people person, and he's really kind of petulant and broody and moody and whatnot, and Jaskier gives him a hard time. He busts his balls about it, like he's like an older brother, like he picks on his younger brother and shit. And I'm reading that story and listening to Dandelion just bust his balls, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, this guy kills motherfuckers, right? You might want to back off on it. But it's such a brotherly thing, because he's busting his balls over, like, Geralt tried to pick up a girl and she rejected him, and he's all butthurt over it. It's like, how common, like how fucking normal, right? But you would never get that sense from the show that Geralt of Rivia is that kind of a character. Like, in the show, he's almost portrayed as kind of like a gothic Superman. Like, he's appropriate with Henry Cavill. He's superior to everybody around him. He knows what to do. He's competent in what he does, and he's rescuing Ciri, and he's rescuing Yennefer, and he's stopping Vesemir from injecting Ciri with toxins, and he's talking down to Vesemir at multiple points, even though Vesemir is supposed to be the elder Witcher there, and like he just exists as kind of like this flawless character in season 3 that I really didn't appreciate. And when I read that story in the book today, it reminded me just how flawed Geralt is as a character, as like a personality, and they really are missing the mark on that in the show, and especially in relation to how he interacts with Dandelion. Like, they're missing that in the show too, because they're spending so much time on all this other stuff that isn't really the focus of The Witcher. Like, and they have all of these other Witcher projects going on at Netflix. They have, they put out the Nightmare of the Wolf, the anime with Vesemir. They have the Blood Origin that's coming out soon. They could explore all of these other elements of the Witcher world and these little side projects they have, and just focus the main Witcher story on Geralt and Yennefer and Jaskier and Ciri, and that's really it. Those are really the only 4 people that you need to be focusing on, and you can have other stuff happen around them, but like, you really need to build out like their characters, because those are the characters that give you the best moments in those books. And to a degree they kind of try to do that, but I don't know. it's almost like The Witcher almost, I guess maybe the books almost seems like a Rorschach test, right? Like when you look at this book, what do you see out of it? Like what is it you're looking at? What is it that's processing through to you that you take in and recognize as being The Witcher? And maybe I'm seeing different stuff than the people that are writing this show see it, you know? And it's kind of a shame. It's kind of frustrating. And I'm definitely seeing it different than Justin. Like, Justin didn't play read the games. He only played Witcher 3. So his view on The Witcher is, you know, even a little bit more secluded than mine. And everybody has their own little secluded view because, you know, we all take in art in different ways. But, you know, the show very clearly is pulling in influences from everything. It's pulling it in from the book, it's pulling it in from the game, and trying to square those things and get the vibe proper, because it's a tough task, because you also have to see, okay, what did CD Projekt Red see in the Witcher books that they extracted and put into the Witcher game? And a part of what made it easy for them is that they didn't try to adapt the books. They were like, okay, fuck adapting the books. Our story takes place, you know, 10 years after the books or whatever. And, you know, they retcon the ending and they're like, okay, now we're just going to write fresh. That makes it a hell of a lot easier just to write from scratch without having to, like, break your balls trying to adapt some unadaptable story or borderline unadaptable story. You know, so, and then, but you have to still see what they got out of those books that they're trying to translate into a game. And obviously a 60-hour game is, or 120-hour game, or however long those games end up being, it's a little bit different than like a 10-hour show or an 8-hour show, as it were. But they still managed to they identified like aspects of the stories that they managed to translate into like different quests here and there. Just this recently, the last stream I think of the game I did, let me actually get that thing started. The last stream of the game that I did, Geralt, he was hanging out with Dandelion, and they were just shooting the shit. They were just talking, you know, they were talking shit to each other, like the way dudes at bars do. They were at the pub talking about nonsense, getting drunk, you know, and it was a great moment. It was a great moment to see, like, it's not always about being like a broody, sullen Batman swinging your sword around. Like, he's a character. He's a three-dimensional, well-rounded character that has a lot of his own flaws in dealing with, you know, the issues that he deals with. And the issues that he deals with, it isn't always sorcerers or sorceresses and kings and dragons or Zeugles or whatever. Like, the shit that he's dealing with is also like, you know, I'm lonely, you know, or I want to bang that girl, or, you know, stuff like that. You know, and that's kind of where a lot of that interesting character stuff comes from. So you get that in the first Witcher game, at least. You get it a little bit in Witcher 2 as well, but Witcher 2, I'll play that when I'm done with Witcher 1. Witcher 2 is a little bit different. Wild Hunt, like I mentioned to Justin in the last stream, Wild Hunt is like end of career Geralt, like ready to retire kind of Geralt. He's still a little bit of a man slut for certain, but he's definitely older, wiser, and a little bit, you know, less naive than, you know, the Geralt in the books at the very least. So, you know, I don't know. We'll see what they do with season 3, I suppose. But when I went back and I was editing those videos and I was thinking about season 2 a little bit more, and especially after I went back and reread that short story, you know, it really got me to thinking, like, you know, for what it is, it's entertaining. Witcher season 2. For what it is entertaining. Like, I think it is a generally well put together show. But The Witcher, for its fan base, like for its core fan base, is such a Rorschach test, you know, depending on what your point of entry into the world was. And I don't think the showrunners are ever gonna like really please that demographic. And I think they recognize that, and I think they recognize that they don't want to do that. Like, they have no interest in pleasing the core Witcher demographic, like the people like me, you know, or people like Justin. Like, so long as they can make a show based off of a property that people, you know, recognize, at least even vaguely recognize, and the show looks cool, I think they consider that enough of a win. And then, like, any kind of accolades that they get individually from their show, like, you know, whatever individual episodes get accolades or individual moments like, oh, that was a cool fight scene, and, you know, whatever things they could gin up from that, then that's all just bonus, right? Like, just so long as the show gets the kind of esteem and cred that they need to get out of it, then you know, they'll continue to tell guys like me to fuck off, like Yaskier did with the dock worker there, which is a great scene. But yeah, so I think I've come to terms with the fact that the Witcher show is just going to be the Witcher show, right? Like, it's its own thing. It's not necessarily for, you know, Witcher fans like me, but Witcher fans like me can still enjoy it for being the Witcher, because it is the Witcher. Henry Cavill does a great job of being Geralt. Freya, what's her name? Freya something? Freya, is it Freya? Oh god, I forget her name. But she does a great job as Ciri. You know, all the actors are really great, all of them, and even the guest actors and whatnot in season 2 were really, really good. Tormund Giantsbane was an awesome Nevelin. I always call him that. I don't know his name. His name is something Nordic that I can't even pronounce when it's right in front of me. But he did a great job of being Nevelin. And the actor that played Eskel did a great job as Eskel, you know? Like, it was all great, like, technically put together. And, like, Justin mentioned, like, some of the CGI looking a little whack, but honestly, I thought it looked visually good from top to bottom. Like, even if there were elements, like, where it was like, oh, that's green screen, or that's a little dull, or a little flat looking, but, like, even in those situations, it was still pretty good looking. Better looking than a lot of season 1, actually. So that, like, so long as the graph on that, so long as the trajectory is still going up, I'm perfectly fine with it. Yeah, so, you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens with season 2, or season 3, rather. But I think that at the end of the day, I was probably a little more forgiving of it than Justin was. And going back and looking at it now, I think maybe... I think there's probably a little bit of give and take there. I think that... I don't disagree with any of Justin's criticisms, but I think that it's a matter of degrees. Like, you know, for instance, like just as an example, the geography thing. I think if you were to ask him on a scale of 1 to 10, what the impact of the geography situation was on his enjoyment of the show, he would probably rank it closer to a 10 than I would. Like, he'd probably say it was like a 7 or an 8. I'd probably say it was like a 5 or a 4. We're not disagreeing that the geography thing is an issue, but it's just a matter of degrees on how much an issue it is. And same thing with, like, the Deathless Mother thing. Like, you're going to ask how much of an impact was the Deathless Mother on the coherency of the story, he would probably put it close to a 10. And I would probably put it around the 6 or 7, maybe. Like, you know, I could see that I agree with him, but I think it's just a matter of degrees. And same for the things that, like, you know, the stuff that I cared about or I really, really enjoyed. He probably didn't care too much about it the way that I did. So I think it's really just a matter. I think there's a lot of alignment on the things that we liked and disliked, but I think it's just a matter of degrees on stuff that I liked and stuff that he liked. So that's my 2 cents on that. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you liked what I said, what Justin said, if you like the content we're providing, if you had any kind of laughs at all, even if you hate us, if you hate my guts, if you want to stab me, if you want to say all sorts of horrible things to me, cool. Like the video, subscribe, you'll get fed all sorts of shit you'll probably hate, and if you like us, you'll get fed all sorts of shit you probably like. So, please and thank you.